Kayak anglers of the internet, welcome back to the Advanced Kayak Angler podcast with myself, Dan Perry, and my co-host, Kurt Smits. What's up, dude?
Man, I hurt my back. That's what's up.
Oh, on a big stripe?
No, I wish, man. I was going to chase some of them, and how I have to put in because this ramp silted out. I have to like drag my kayak down this trail and up the steep bank and blah blah blah. And man, I just jacked my back up last time I went. I'm like walking like an old man, all bent over.
Dude, last year I hurt my back taking a nap on the couch. That's how like you wake up and your back goes out like, oh Lord, I'm getting old.
I hate back problems. Anyway,
yeah. I get to go fishing this weekend. I'm so excited. I didn't go last weekend. And really the most underrated body of water in Alabama is Bankhead Lake that connects to the Mulberry and Locust Forks, which is kind of like Alabama Susquehanna. I've heard it called before. I mean, it really is our best water in the state. And they don't do any tournaments here because the cell service, and it's really kind of very difficult to access. Like the routes, there's like one bridge. It takes forever to get around the lake. So it's tough, but man, it's where it's at. If you've never been to Bankhead, Locust Fork, Mulberry Fork, it's awesome.
Oh man, that sounds awesome, dude.
Yeah, I've tried to convince other people to come here, like Steve, or I think I tried Till Drew for for his series too, and they they want to do something else, but it's awesome. But it's kind of like our little secret, so I like
it. Not a secret anymore.
Yeah, well, that's all right. Nobody will come because it's hard to get to. It really is kind of like, it's funny because I'm even from Birmingham, it's like an hour because all the back roads is so like, oh, it's 20 miles if you were a bird, but it's like 150 whenever you're driving. It's crazy.
No straight route there, no state highway there.
No, nothing. Yeah, a lot of potholes, gravel, everything else.
That is good. That does keep the people away.
It really does. It's awesome, beautiful too, man. And it's Army Corps of Engineers Lake, so they don't really care about whenever the release schedules and all that. But everything's Army Corps stuff's usually really nice. So it's a nice place for sure.
Nice.
Cool. All right. Well, this week we're doing something different. We're going to talk to two people in the fishing industry, and we have a bunch of questions for them. So definitely looking forward to this. I'll bring them on. We got Sean Boggs from Miller Tech Lithium Batteries and Mike Anselmo from Untamed Tackle. Best jigs in the business. What's up, fellas?
Hey, guys.
Yeah. You think you got questions for me? I got so many questions for the kayak community. It's not even funny.
Yeah, let's talk. We're ready. Sean, we'll start with you, man. Tell us who you are and about Miller Tech.
I'm Sean Boggs. I do all the marketing and sales for Miller Tech Lithium Batteries. I chase all the pros. I do all the ins and outs for the company, and it's been a good time to say the least.
Yeah. Who do y'all have on your roster right now? Any big names?
Yeah. Probably number one is Wheeler.
Right
behind Kurt Smits. Like there's Kurt. He's like way up here, and then there's Wheeler right about there.
Wheeler's just like goat Kurt.
DC, we got Dustin Cannell. I've got about
King of Planting.
I've got about 25.
Okay.
Just since we've been on here, another one's contacted me, sent me a message wanting to be on the team.
Yeah, I feel for y'all guys who run these companies like that. I can't imagine. Yeah,
it's a lot of work. It's not all love affair. Believe me, it's a lot of grinding.
I imagine there's a lot of filtering, right? You just get request after request.
Yeah.
We've talked about it before, but
so many.
And you just kind of have to filter through them to find the ones that are the juice.
Yeah, my phone rings nonstop, day in and day out. Like I've already closed out 2 different phone calls.
Wow.
So
hopefully it's not like DC on the water with a Help
No,
me.
he's off the water.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, he's off the
Do
water.
you have like Life 360 for everybody where you know where they're all at all times?
I should. You know what? Maybe I should do that. I should do that.
Oh,
Yeah. In BASS, I've got like, Greg Hackney and Alex
Hacksack.
Redwine. Yep.
Yeah.
Jonathan Van Dam. We've got some big names out there that are using them and enjoying them. So
I hear you. Well, now I know Kurt talks good about y'all.
yeah, he's got quite
care of me.
He's got a few of them, that's for sure. I like to keep my buddies supplied.
That's right.
And we were talking about it earlier, Sean, how Lithium has changed the kayak industry as far as electronics goes on our kayaks and all the different stuff that we can add, like the lights, the stereos, all the crazy stuff everyone's adding. We couldn't do that without lithium batteries.
Yeah.
I mean,
no,
without the invention of the lithium battery, we would not be able to run. And I think that goes for the bass boat world too, right? I mean, when you see like 6 units, 7 units on these guys' boats.
Yeah. And the packages are starting to shrink. And, before long, you'll get a 100 amp hour battery and it'll be the size of a thermos,
Yeah, right.
I mean, before long, it'll be, we'll be moved on past the standard lithium into solid state or, some other, type of battery. And that'll be the lead acid or AGM, going down the pipe. And, we continue to grow as a company and we keep putting stuff out there. So, get the packages a little smaller, fits more boats, fits more kayaks, And
that's the advancement in the technology, right? I mean,
correct.
The more the more use that we get out of this, the more time spent, the smaller the package gets, the more powerful it gets. It's amazing.
It really has taken over, no longer are you going out buying $100,000 boat. You're buying, $30,000-$40,000 to fix up your old one, and you can't do that with lead acid or AGM. You just can't. That's a step backwards. What good's that 22-inch monitor when you got to run it through a lead acid battery? I mean, it just doesn't work.
Cool. Well, Mike, tell us about yourself and Untamed Tackle. You're a one-man band, huh?
One-man band. I got a part-time employee that, of course, is a family member that I have to pay in cash. So Uncle Sam doesn't, there's no 1099s or W-2s, any of that. But no, it is. It's me, and I purchased the company about 9 months ago from the original owner. So essentially, it's myself and it's Kyle Welcher, who is essentially responsible for all the product design and for getting the company to where it's at so far. So, what exactly does that mean? Well, hopefully we're going to be outgrowing the basement at some point. But what that really means is we've got a thoughtful jig company at a time when skirted jigs have sort of fallen almost by the wayside. The techniques, the technology around forward-facing sonar and hanging those minnow baits and doing a lot of that, power fishing has sort of fallen off by the wayside. But when I got to know Kyle, I was the marketing manager at Striker Brands. Untamed Tackle was his only other sponsor at the time. I believe that's exactly how it went. And I always liked the product. I thought the designs were thoughtful, cast and molded in the USA, premium hooks, premium silicone skirts, premium paint jobs. I liked it. And it was a situation where I told Kyle, I'm like, hey, if this ever became available, I'd like to know about it. And he called me one day and said, hey, man, you might want to give this other guy a call. And push came to shove, and somehow, some way, I wound up leaving a really good job at Northland Fishing Tackle and Bagley Baits, where, you know, I had some good people around me, and I was the director of marketing and e-commerce over there. Like I told Sean when we were kind of doing the pre-show, you know, just kind of coffee table stuff, that, you know, why wouldn't I leave my really good job with a wife and 2 kids and all kinds of responsibility to I guess, you know, have to handle, you know, you just kind of go for it. It seemed like a good opportunity, and here we are. So added some new products. Kyle's feedback is nothing short of phenomenal. The guy is he's a very capable fisherman all around. I think he might be one of the most instinctual, you know, power fishermen on the tour right now, on any of the tours. Like, if you gave that guy a jig and you took the rest of it away, give him a jig and give him a frog, he's going to get up and down the bank faster than you can do it and more efficient. He's just, if he was going to be good at designing anything, jigs, it was absolutely going to be it for him. So I know that's a really long-winded introduction, and I'm not even sure that was an introduction, more of a story, but sometimes I just ramble.
No, you're good. I know that's what drew me to him. First, whenever you see Kyle Welcher's name on it, it's like, well, Angler of the Year. I think if he designed it, it's probably okay. But it's one of those things, like, whenever you put his jig or the shaky head or even the football juggernaut football jig, swim jig, whatever it is, you put in your hands, like, oh, this is the good stuff. Like, you know, some of them are just mass produced. The weed guard isn't close enough to the hook, or, you know, the skirts. Everything's just, you know, it's made for a store, not made for the angler. But whenever you pick them up, you're like, there's a difference here in between a regular product and somebody who knows what they're doing and is making something right.
Yeah. So, well, and
quality terminal tackle is hard to come by.
Yeah,
it is.
I mean, if you look at the majority of the industry, there's a very small section of quality terminal tackle, and everything else is just kind of garbage.
So I don't know how much
longer. I hate to say that, but it's the truth, you know.
I don't know how much longer I'll be able to do it, but right now I touch every piece that goes out, every skirt, every jig head, every whatever. So if there's a blemish or whatever, it's because I didn't have enough coffee that day, or whatever it is. I think year to date, I think it's right around 20,000 jigs that I've shipped out of this room in the garage.
Wow.
So how much longer can I keep up that pace? We'll see. I just might have to get another family member to jump on the payroll.
The wife.
You're not working for free.
Mm-hmm. No, that's the other side of it too, right? You got to have somebody kind of behind you that's willing to support what you're attempting to do. So, you know, she's been great. The whole thing has been a fun ride. We're not spiking the football in the end zone yet. We got a lot of work to do, and you guys all know how that works. First year small business is tough, man. It's a grind. You got more money going out more often than you got coming in.
I'll reach out to you, Mike, when I get off of this. And I'll say something to friends of mine that own a tackle store, and we'll see if we can't get another store.
Man, I'm all ears.
Connection. Bringing people together. I love it.
That's how we roll. You know what I'm saying?
Love it.
So are you in any stores in Ohio?
So it's funny. You know, I've done this just long enough for other companies to try to be really, really calculated on the front side. So what I didn't want to do is open my distribution up to as many places as possible before I really understood what all of these costs that I can't see. I understand what my cost of goods are, but shipping costs, there's a lot of buried things that you just don't see coming. So I sort of played defense for a period of time in terms of what my distribution was going to be. The brand was in Tackle Warehouse. Those guys are nothing short of fantastic to work with. I really like my buyer over there, and they do a great job, helping get product out. In terms of marketing, having my product listed there, I think is a great benefit to the brand as much as
Right.
it is a sales channel. So I really appreciate that for what it is. Outside of that, we added a specialty bass store over here in Minnetonka, Minnesota. I live in Wisconsin. These guys are on the banks of Lake Minnetonka. It's called Waypoint Angler Supply. That's where the guys that fish here go and I know a lot of people in this community, so I was proud to have my products in there. Omnia Fishing Tackle picked up the stuff this year. Those guys are just on the west side of the Twin Cities. Tuts up on Lake Mille Lacs, and then short of that, like I kind of stopped. Like I paused with the exception of Stump Lake and Rice Lake, Wisconsin. I kind of said, okay, now let's just wait. Let's sell through, get close to the end of the year, pick up one or two more wholesale accounts, but let's look for the right accounts. How many Stump Lakes?
Be a little picky.
Yeah.
Right.
How many Stump Lakes and waypoints can I find in different parts of the country? If I have the product in the right couple retailers, 2 or 3 in every state,
right.
That does a lot for the brand rather than trying to get it in everywhere and anywhere I can in year one. I mean, you could go broke running out of inventory and then over forecasting how much is going to be brought in. But if you can't help the accounts that you've got sell through, that's a one hitter quitter. You'll get one order and you'll never get a reorder because you can't service the accounts. So I'm just trying to be real calculated with how I do this,
right?
And how fast I grow.
Shows how thoughtful you are on it, man. It really does. I mean, that's a perfect example because I know quite a few small business owners through the years, and there's like 2 types. There's the guys like you who want to think through it and do it the right way. Then there's other guys who are like, let's go, smash, sales, and they don't care about anything other than the sales. And they're 2 different personalities, and it's
well, you can probably make it work both ways. However, when the financing is the first bank of Mike, and you're paying for it all yourself, you think real hard about it, and you just have to be more calculated.
So is that your biggest risk, just the capital of having stock on hand? And is that,
I don't even know that seems like now 9 months later, that doesn't really scare me because I don't have enough to drown myself. I've got enough where I can sell myself out of a problem if I were to kind of get into a pinch. I think now what I need to try to do is understand my forecasting for next year. So I'll take the next 2.5, 3 months and go, okay, if I did X amount this year, how much am I safely capable of doing next year? And we'll find those accounts, we'll see who they are. How much can we grow? How much does the existing accounts grow? And who wants to bring the product in that I can help support to push through and be a good partner with.
Right.
I mean, that forecasting thing, I feel your pain in that. I owned a bicycle shop and we had dating on everything, right? Because no one could afford to bankroll, or very few people can afford to bankroll $100,000 in inventory.
Mm-hmm.
And man, you're picking stuff for you're 12 months out. And you're saying this color is going to sell this amount this year at this price, and sizes and colors and types and brands. Yeah. Man, I feel your pain, man. I feel your pain on that. That's like one of those things that would keep me up at night is doing the forecasting for the next year.
Well, when you're small enough to start, I don't have that far to fall. I've everything to gain if I do it right.
Yeah.
My mistakes at this point are small. If I fall on my ass, it's okay. I'll get back up. But you just gotta kind of feel your way through it, figure it out. And that's, like I said, I got a patient wife, thankfully. And, you know,
And a
that's all right.
positive attitude, obviously, man.
Yeah, that's right.
Amen.
Really positive guy.
Yeah, we're getting after it.
That's good. Yeah,
So
make sure we get together after this. So
Absolutely, we'll get. There's. I know we will. I promise I will follow up on that, because every one of those opportunities I take very seriously. And so yes, I will get in touch with you.
yeah, we'll talk to Dan and Dave at Fisherman Central.
Okay,
which is
great.
a huge shop. Smitty, you've been there, haven't you?
Yep. Carries everything, man.
Everything.
When he goes in, he does a really, really good job at covering the whole
gamut. So, Mike, are you expanding into walleye or anything like that? Have you thought about any of that stuff?
If I had laser beams that I could shoot out of my eyes, they would be focused right here. I just need to stay true to what we are for now.
Okay.
Yeah, there's if you let your brain work a little bit, you can see opportunity all over the place. But right now, I know that this brand is a skirted jig brand endorsed by Kyle Welcher and a handful of others, and we make bass jigs for bass fishermen.
Okay.
So yes, has the idea crossed my mind 1,000 times? Is that something that I should even kind of be thinking about for a while? I don't think so.
My buddy owns Swamp Donkey over there in Wisconsin.
Okay. Yep.
So Chase, he's good, very good friend of mine. So
nice.
He can help you out there.
What people are hearing and seeing is networking happening right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Behind the scenes industry
live.
Networking live.
We could turn this into a weekly group. Just we don't have to like.
I've got a couple down here whenever you're ready.
This is like this is like a Chamber of Commerce or a BNI meeting. We could just do this every week, add a few people.
That'd be perfect.
Everybody joins, gets a free jig.
So here's
that could get expensive.
Well, one of the big questions I have, and we were kind of talking about this, is like sponsorships. It's crazy nowadays. How in the world do you go about choosing who you're going to have on your team, and how much of the budget? Like, I know if I were going to start a jig company, I wouldn't start a jig company, but if I were going to start a fishing company, I would be, how much are you putting into that side of the business? Is it 20%, 30, 50? I don't even know.
Sean, you want to go first?
It probably depends on the industry too. Batteries probably different than jigs.
Batteries are like 20% of our business.
Oh, okay.
So really, I mean, you got to draw a line somewhere, I think last year I was just shy of 500,000. So
and sponsorship money going out.
Yeah. So when you sit back and you think about everything all the way through,
all the batteries,
is the juice worth the squeeze? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, we are one of the most recognized batteries out there, so I could say in that aspect, yeah, but I mean, it is hard to pick who you put on the team,
So Sean, did you have a budget? Did Lester say, "Hey, man, it's 500 grand," or are you guys just kind of feeling your way through?
He said whatever it took.
Whatever it took. So, I mean, it's not open,
and that's the way. And that's the way it was left, And I don't ever give away Lester's money, and that's why him and I are really good friends about it, because I'll bring somebody to him and we'll sit down and discuss things, and I'll let him know what's going on. And if he wants to go above and beyond what I've discussed, that's on him. You know what I'm saying? If one of the pros, talk to him about money and he agrees to it, that's on him. But I try to make the pros go 1 year without giving them anything but batteries. at least 1
See
year.
what they do with it. See how they run
Yeah,
with the
and
ball.
see if they're willing to say, hey, you know what? This I can grow with this company and let me do this, and promote it. If they're the guys that are like, well, for just batteries, I can't put you on my YouTube channel and promote you. Right? I said, well, good luck with the next company. It ain't gonna bother me none. There's another one right behind you. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like a litmus test.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I got to draw the line somewhere. There's got to be that line in the sand. What are you going to do for me, and what's it going to cost me? It's $4,000 in batteries.
Yeah, for a bass boat, right? $4,000
Right.
batteries
When you
for a
sit
bass
back and
boat.
think about it for a bass boat, it's $4,000. Okay, so if it's $4,000, that's not giving you something. That's not worth you saying, "Hey, I'm using Millertex," and at the end of the year, I'm going to give you a review and let you know how they do.
Return on investment, right? I mean,
If you're not willing to do that, then what?
Yeah.
Then I got to walk away. So, unfortunately, I've had to walk away from a few. I had one guy tell me that, he's a champion, and I said, okay, fine. I'm glad you're a champion. And he goes, yeah, I've won a championship. And I said, dude, it's not like you're Jacob Wheeler. Slow your roll. Jacob used our batteries for 4 years before he even took money. That's pretty good.
Because
yeah,
Jacob, he can
he could get anybody he wanted.
Yeah.
Anybody. So, you have to draw that line in the sand and say, this is what's up. If you're not willing to do it for this, I'll see you later. I'll give somebody that's been on the team and has done videos for me, extra money before I do that,
Yeah.
So
both ways. At Striker, there was no staff, period.
right.
It was they were brand new to apparel, and they'd been in ice fishing for 10 years. On the rainwear UPF side, they were just getting started. And, we needed to find some of those names. And I'm such a nerd when it comes to like BASS bass fishing. Like I'm a nerd. I can't help it. Unapologetic. Just sorry.
It's my sport. Like the way people watch football, I watch fishing. Yeah.
So I had X amount of money to spend in my marketing budget in that first year with Striker. And I just kind of looked around. I'm like, man, if I could get just a handful of these guys, I feel like that would get us a long way. And those first 4 guys were Kyle Welcher, he was
John
a rookie.
Cruz, right?
John Cruz, Matt Becker, who was basically a rookie at the time, and a guy named Matt Steffen, who is
conquering YouTube now.
He was conquering YouTube, and he's winning some tournaments too. Was that last year he won down at La Crosse? And I'm always really proud of that. I feel like I was able to kind of come to terms with guys that I really wanted to get. John was really established at the time, and the other 3 were up and coming in their own respective ways. 2 of them became anglers of the year, and Matt Steffen became one of the largest voices on YouTube. Fantastic.
Talk about hitting on two rookies, huh? Yeah.
Right. But I've done it the other way too, and that's the grassroots side of it. With Northland and Bagley, we had a really interesting mix. So Jeff Gustafson was always part of the team. He and the original owner, John Peterson, they still fish tournaments in Canada together. They're very, very tight. Right? Yeah. So you've got, a angler at the top of his profession, and then you've got this need for all these grassroots anglers on the walleye side and the bass side over there. And what I found there is sort of what I've applied to what I do over here. the best ambassadors and the best pro staffers that you have are the guys that would be using your product if you didn't give them a single free jig or a single dollar. And the way that I've approached that here even is, you said that you had hit the red light a couple of times on your phone, Sean, when we were in the waiting room.
Yeah.
I had an Instagram message coming on asking about, how do I get on your pro staff? And my answers become pretty easy. It's, well, there's no application. What happens is your good customers that can tell your story without having to ask you for it are the ones that wind up just very organically and very naturally just becoming a partner of yours. And it's, if you threw out on social media, hey, accepting pro staff now, 9 out of 10 of the people that you took, you'll never hear from them again after you give them their credits or whatever it is.
So what you're saying, Mike,
Right.
this is something that I've had this conversation with Sean and some other people I work with in the industry. It's not necessarily having a pro staff, but picking the right people to be on your pro staff, whether it's a big pro or the guy who fishes the local tournaments. Either one, it's having the right one on there.
Yeah. And like the guys, I don't have very many. I really don't.
You don't need them.
Well, the
you
ones
have the right ones, you don't need a lot.
Yeah, I appreciate so much the ones that I do have. What people don't, it's, well, could I just get some free jigs? Well, that's fine, but like that's 2 loaves of bread, a gallon of milk, and a dozen eggs upstairs. So to you, it sounds like,
right.
What's a couple $100 worth of free goods? Well, I know what that stuff actually costs me. So I'm not whining or complaining about it. It's just very much a different reality for me now than it was, when I was managing somebody else's budget. So I appreciate so much. Like, I mean, I've got friends that they became friends, like people I worked with at Striker, like Jeremy Anfinson has become a good friend of mine. He was a pro staff guy at Striker, and then he wanted, I got to work with him a little bit at Northland, and then unsolicited just started buying my stuff, with no discount. It's like, dude, I can't tell you how much that means when the people that are in your circle, sort of in your circle, or just know of your circle, like go out of their way to help you in your journey. Like, it counts for so much. And like, I don't have a pro staff. I got people that help me out, and that's just really the way
I'll buy some stuff.
I see that. You know what I mean?
I'll buy some stuff, buddy. That's the way it works,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm gonna need it to walk into the store anyways,
Right.
So I'll buy it and throw it in on the desk.
And it's funny that you mentioned, Mike, that you pick people who would buy your product anyway to that you're helping out. You don't have a pro staff, but that you're helping out.
Yeah.
That's how I took it from the opposite side. As an angler trying to get onto pro staffs or work with companies, is I try to work with companies that I buy their stuff. Not the companies that I'm like, oh, this is something else, and they're offering me something, or I see maybe I could get something. It's always been like St. Croix, for instance. I was fishing St. Croix rods before I ever even approached them or even thought of asking them to work with them.
Yeah.
And that's how it's just, so it's interesting to hear you say that, because it's kind of, it can go both ways, right? It can be the angler side, or it can be on the business side going that way.
Yeah. Well, and it's, for me, like I have a really hard time saying no. I do. But you just get to the point where like I said, if you put out that post, like now accepting applications, I
You better be good at saying no.
I just know 9 out of 10 of those, like it's just not going to work out. But if I can find a way to, to co-brand with somebody that's already buying the product, elevate them while helping them with credits or whatever it is along the way, some product, like it just becomes more of an equal partnership. Like I'm getting something out of this, you're getting something out of this, and hopefully together, like we are doing, it's the embodiment of grassroots marketing and digital media in 2024. That's all you're trying to do, is keep that web growing and keep all those balls in the air. It's really hard work. It was my full-time job at those last 2 companies. And, now when you're trying to do all of it by yourself, like you realize how much work it really was and why it was your full-time job.
Yeah.
A lot of the guys sit back and, they ask me about, the company, and they want to know, more about MillerTech. And I don't know how to put it in words. There's so many things that we do correct. Customer service, our customers, every single one of our customers is like a blessing. We literally, if there's an issue, I mean, we're overnighting them, whatever it takes to get them on the water and, back into whatever they need. I've answered the phone at 4:30 in the morning on a Sunday to help an angler figure out how to get his battery restarted. I've done all kinds of things like that. Whatever it takes, we're like, customer service is number one. We try to answer our phone on the first ring. How many companies these days answer the phone on the first ring? Not many.
No,
You think about it.
Except for guys.
I mean, but there's not many companies out there that do that. And we're one of the few that actually, strive to be that good in that way. So, dealing with, pro staff, dealing with customers, dealing with the spam we get. It's unbelievable, the spam messages we get. Every day I'm deleting thousands of messages.
Wow.
I get messages from people asking everything from, can I just get a discount? Right? So I tell them, we got a discount on our website. All you got to do is go to our website, sign up, give them your email address. They'll go ahead and email you a discount code. No problem. Right? And they're like, yeah, but it's only 10%. And it's like, well, what kind of discount did you want? You know what I mean? I mean, at some point, you just got to look at them and just like, why? Why is it that you need a discount? What makes you think you need a discount? And you just shake your head. You don't know. They don't know the answer. We don't know the answer, but everybody thinks that they're Kevin Van Dam or.
Well, it has become like a culture almost in the fishing industry, because so many companies have dived into the pro staff are their customers. It's not really a promotional staff. It's more like a club they're joining of some sort with the company.
Right.
It's become a marketing means and not so much pro staff and having people that you work with closely. That's become so prevalent. I think that everybody just expects it now.
We had a customer that literally we replaced his batteries 4 times, and he was filling his boat up halfway with water, so that way he didn't drift so fast and he could get on them crappies. Okay. Now, I don't know about you. I'm no rocket scientist, right? But if you're catching fish, you're moving. If you're moving, that means the water's going up and down, right? And he literally was filling his batteries full of water.
Mm.
And he was ruining all the batteries every time. And this is years ago. And we were like, man, what's going on with this guy? And finally, I was just laughing around, just talking with him, about fishing, this and that. And he started telling me about how he fills his boat up halfway with water. And I was like, okay, we just replaced your batteries. We sent them to you. Okay. Those batteries do not have a warranty. Do not call us ever again. Okay. You've gotten 4 sets of batteries out of us. That's it. I mean, literally, I'm telling you, there wasn't a span of 2 months between the 4 sets.
Well, it's good for you guys to replace them that many times, but ouch.
Yeah.
And that's
But man,
ouch.
I mean,
That's
I
a lot.
replaced a jig this week, like one.
there you go.
I guess
There you go.
that,
So are you trying to source stuff locally, like here in the US, like the skirt material, stuff like that, or are you having to go overseas for that?
So I've got a company that they're here.
Mhm.
They've got factories that are in other countries.
Okay.
But it's an American company. They just can't produce the silicone here. And then the hooks are Japanese. I use either Gamakatsu hooks or owner hooks, depending on the product. And then otherwise they're cast and molded right here.
Okay.
It's their original CAD drawings, like the hooks that are in those jigs. I mean, fit those molds. I can't just take one hook out and put a different hook in. It doesn't work that way. It's really interesting the level of thought that kind of goes into the shape of a head design of a jig and what it's capable of doing in terms of how it comes through wood and brush or skips, or if it falls straight up and down through grass, what does it do when it gets to the bottom? I mean, there's just really thoughtful stuff. Where it's hard to put a value on somebody like Kyle, who is that passionate about fishing and jig fishing in particular. I mean, the guy is just, if it doesn't pass the Kyle Welcher test, we're not going to make it.
Right.
good enough for me.
Good enough for me.
Yeah.
He's better than I am.
I can't argue with it.
Yeah.
I know I'm going to buy some.
That's the thing. How do you? You know what, Kyle? I don't know about that. I don't know about that idea.
Kyle, you really screwed up with that design.
Yeah. But he's super humble. I think if he did, he'd own it. He'd tell you maybe it should have been like this, or we'd just make a running change. Maybe we'd kill it and relaunch it. Whatever. People make mistakes. Is what it is.
Right.
But man, that ace jig, we get feedback on that thing. I threw it all the way to the back of this 30-foot long laydown tree. It's just, people throw it where you're not supposed to throw a jig. But people throw an ace jig where other jigs go to die. I don't know how else to put it. It just comes through timber and brush. I mean, very unlike a jig should. You throw a Texas rig up here in the brush until now.
Well, I know the perfect spot to try it. Kurt, you know the spot I'm talking about.
I do. Like Corey.
I'll definitely
warranty your jig 4 times when you get it stuck in the crotch of that tree.
You got it, buddy.
So I got a question for you guys. obviously fishing was a passion and a hobby of all of ours, right?
Mhm.
And then you guys transitioned that into a full-time job. And
Mhm.
I've got some similar experiences, not necessarily with the fishing side of it, but with other industries where it was a hobby and it became a job. What changed for you guys when you made that transition, when you were you're fishing for fun, and then now you're working in industry? What were some of the changes or some things that maybe surprised you?
One of the things that surprised me is my phone constantly goes off, so it's real hard for me to start fishing. I'll start fishing, then my phone will go off, so I have to use airplane mode, But it's everybody thinks, oh, you're in the industry, so you must get to enjoy yourself a lot. Well, they don't realize that ain't so. You're working a lot, you know. The trade shows, unbelievable. When you're long hours standing on your feet, taking care of customers, answering the same question over and over and over again.
Mhm.
But you have to do it. You have to be present and you have to do it.
That's part of it for sure.
You know,
I worked in mass media prior to doing this, and I always liked marketing, and I just thought, well, why can't I just be on the fishing side of marketing? So I started selling for a local media production company. I was doing sponsorship sales, ad sales, all that. And started working for brands, and people are like, "Oh, yeah, what's it like to be in fishing?" I'm like, "Well, I don't fish that much, because you still got to work."
right.
The difference is I'm happy doing it, and at the end of the day, I've said this over and over and over to myself. As long as I'm happy doing it, the money's going to take care of itself.
Mm-hmm.
And at any given point in time, if I'm not happy doing this anymore, then I'll go do something else. But, now it's been close to basically 10 years being involved in this business in one way, shape, or form. And like, I'm not trying to figure out how to get out. I'm just kind of looking like, well, what's around the next corner? This is great. I love doing this. Like, I'm 43. What am I going to be doing at 53? I bet it'll still be in the outdoor business.
This is my third go around in the outdoor industry. And I told my wife, I said, I before I got the gig with Miller Tech, I said, I just want one more shot, just one more shot, and it took off. I mean, once I got that shot, I mean, I was gone. I was in knee deep. There was no stopping me. I wasn't walking. I was running. I quit my 9 to 5 and jumped right into this full time. Said I'm done.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to call Kurt when I was working. I was out delivering produce in the mornings.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Got to take those risks.
you got to jump. You got to take it. Grab a hold of it and run.
Man, as both you guys know, good business opportunities don't come around all that often. Not good
No.
ones.
Mm-hmm.
No.
When they do, they're more than likely going to require some risks and some leaps of faith, and you just have to make that decision and commitment with it.
Yeah, I left all my sponsors. I totally left. Berkeley's one of them. Pure Fishing. I left one of them. Strictly Sail. I left Strictly Sail. Torpedo. All of them. I'm done. I can't do. I can't concentrate on helping you build your business when I've got to do this for me. And that's the way it is. I have nothing but good things to say about all of them, but I can't. I can't be in it for them. I got to be in it for Miller Tech and myself.
Is there like a Mr. Miller? Is that where it came from?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Yeah. And he's an Amish guy.
Oh, okay.
So we've been in the battery industry since 1995.
Well, I gotta ask. Amish people don't use electricity, right? Or they do?
Correct.
Well,
Solar.
So, okay.
solar batteries are okay.
Are they? Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Yep.
that makes sense then.
Yeah. Like your drill batteries, stuff like that. They use a lot of that stuff they use it for mixers, for lights that go above their dining room table, everything. I mean, you wouldn't believe the stuff that they power with battery power.
Wow.
It's
That's
pretty
super
interesting, actually, when you
for
sit
sure.
back and think about it. It's like a whole thing that people don't realize,
Yeah, I just imagine like how you would have them put together, any of the manufacturing and being Amish and trying to be stay within those rules. Man, that's super interesting.
We actually order in mixers that are the standard 120 plugged, and we pull the guts out and convert them to 12 volt DeWalt or Milwaukee.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
Finding
we've got
opportunities, right? I mean,
whatever it takes, we're going to make a dollar, whichever way it takes it. That's one thing about the Amish is they're not afraid to make a dollar.
Lester definitely isn't.
No.
I've never in Alabama. I've never met an Amish person.
What?
No, if we have them, I don't know it.
Oh my gosh!
I know up north. I've driven through areas.
Are there no Amish people in Alabama? I have honestly.
I'm going to ask Lester. I'm going to ask Lester. I'll ask him if there's Amish.
Because I know in Kentucky there's Amish.
Are you going to be at Red Crest?
I was at it this year, but no, I won't be at it next year.
Okay.
It was here in Birmingham this year.
Yeah. Yeah, I was there.
Yeah.
When we're at, if you come to the next one, he'll probably be there. Lester will probably be there.
Does he like buggy there?
No.
Well,
it's got a driver.
I don't know. I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to offend the Amish.
They can fly. They can get into cars. They just can't drive cars or fly airplanes.
Okay. Well, dude.
I don't know all the rules. I know a few of them.
The other company, one of the other companies that I first started working with was a small net company called the RS Nets. And we went from making butterfly nets and bird nets to making fishing nets for us. And Chase, my buddy Chase, there in Wisconsin at Swamp Donkey, him and I headed up, and it was the most popular net on the market for years.
Yeah, I remember it.
Yeah, they were all the rage.
Mm-hmm.
Who would have thought you could get $150, $170, $180, $200 out of a net,
God, no.
We sold them like you wouldn't believe. Sold them. Walk into an outdoor show and would have 150, 200 nets with us, and every one of them would be gone when we left.
Wow,
that's how you want a show to go.
Because everybody wanted those nets because of what we did to the nets to prove it. You know what I'm saying? I had Sean Straighter, Wesley Straighter's brother, drunk in a fit of rage out back, grabs that net and beats his fence half to death with it and says, "Look, it still works."
If he's
And you
anything
wouldn't
like
believe
Wesley, I can imagine that'd be funny.
you should see, and honest to God, how many people bought it just because of that. I mean, it was the funniest video you've ever seen, and you know, that was that. We had a net laying on the ground, and Chase come flying in his van at the time, his rental van, and skidded on the net, you know, and I yanked it out from underneath the tire, and I go, "Still ready to go fishing?" and walked off, and everybody bought because of that. They were like, "You can't do that with any other net. I need that net." You know, catchy little marketing, you know.
I like it.
Yeah. If you can't break it, I guess I'm not going to either.
Right. And everybody used it. All the professional walleye fishermen everywhere. We were in Shields.
Yep.
So, but it's little things like that. That's how it all started for me. And then it went into an apparel line that was really popular. And that guy just turned out to be a nut job and closed up. So it went from one extreme to the next.
At least now you're with, like, you know,
Stable.
the Amish. Yeah, good.
I was with the Amish to start with. Yeah. I was with the original owner was Roman Schleyball, which is where the RS come from. And he was a heavy drinker. I mean, that guy could put away some alcohol.
Slay some highballs.
Oh God, man. Many a time, I'm like, "Hey, you know, we got to go. I've got places to be in the morning."
Was he from Wisconsin?
No.
Well,
I saw something recently, like the most bars and most drinkers per capita is Wisconsin, right?
Right. I think so.
Don't lump all of us in that one bucket.
I've been up there one time.
All them jig makers.
The bills were great.
Listen, now the minute we're done here, I'm going to go have a Busch Light, but I just don't want to be categorized as such. Okay.
Yeah,
so and here we thought it was for milk and bread.
Right.
You know, when I went to Wisconsin to fish some tournaments, man, there were bars everywhere. Like it seemed like every building had a bar in it. If they had 3 stories, there was a bar on the bottom one.
That's pretty much how our club deals run here. I mean, there's a ton of clubs. So I'm on the west side of the state. Like, we're almost, I guess, where I live in Hudson is considered a suburb of the Twin Cities, Minneapolis and St. Paul. But over here on the west side, like from here to Eau Claire to Rice Lake, north to, you know, from Minocqua, you know, west all the way back to Minnesota.
Right.
Every club you get done, you don't give out the money and the plaques at the weigh-in. You go to the host bar, which is, and it's just, I mean, it's just part of our culture up here.
Yeah.
You don't have to go in there and have 1,000 of them, but like we go and, I mean, you got good food. It's cabin country for the most part. Like, it's, you pull in a parking lot in Minocqua, you got license plates from Illinois, Wisconsin, Minnesota, and probably 1 or 2 other states. It's just how it is. Like, it's just part of living here.
Sounds great.
And I don't drink at all. I think this should be a 2-part series.
Might need to make it a 2-part series.
All right.
I feel like our hour's up. I didn't even get to ask you guys about, like, I wanted to ask you guys if anybody watched Bass Live today. Like,
I watched part of it when you got Ike and Fighter out there catching them like old school.
How about Fighter and that frogfish? Jiminy.
Yeah.
That was fun to watch.
Yeah.
I thought that fish was going after that turtle.
They're actually doing well and not live scoping. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
You know, he was live scoping. He was using his eyeballs. That's pretty live.
You watch yourself, Smitty.
I'm just saying, man. You can catch.
You're gonna have the haters on you.
Smitty's got 2 live scopes on his kayak. 2 black boxes.
Can't
I had
never
it
have too much
folded.
live scope, man. Right? I mean, you might as well spend $10,000 on a
Yeah.
electronic. Why not?
Yep. You might as well. Yeah,
So
I watched a little bit of the Bass Pro Tour. Becker is leading it, of course. You knew that, right? Matt Becker.
Mhm.
So I signed Becker for next year. So he'll be on our team next year.
He's a really good person. Brittany is great people.
She's awesome.
Yeah, they make for a good team, and I love seeing his success. Just
Right.
because I knew him and nobody knew him, and he's so driven, and I just felt like the rest of it was going to take care of itself, and so far it has. I'm really happy for him.
Yeah. Brittany and my wife have been, Facebook stalking each other,
Sure. Yeah.
So they talk all the time. So my wife, whenever he does good or something, my wife will send her a message, tell him good job, She feels like she's empowered.
I think if I remember correctly, they're both pretty good at beer pong. We got into a game down at ICAST.
Nice. Nice. Yeah, we'll be at ICAST this next year. We're contemplating on what keg we should buy. Because we should have beer.
Though no one will be drinking it in the booth, though. Man.
Everybody will be in the booth drinking it. That's the funny part. Everybody will be stopping in to get a beer. That's like the big thing.
I do have one more quick question before we go, and
Mhm.
it'll be quick. Y'all have your ears to the industry. Is there anything in the next 5 years? Where do you think things are going? Is there anything maybe people aren't expecting, or do you see, any changes coming or anything else?
I think my crystal ball is telling me that it's going to change so fast that whatever prediction you make is going to be, you could be completely right or completely wrong. And 6 months later, you could be completely right or completely wrong again. I think that electronics and lithium technology and techniques and everything is going to change so fast now. And I think now more than ever, fish are going to get conditioned faster to what anglers are doing, that the next best technique might be one from 20 years ago. And, or, maybe it's something we don't know yet. I just fully believe that as quickly as everything else has changed around us, that fishing is going to be absolutely no different. And that if I were to dare to make a prediction, that I would just look foolish.
Man, that's scary for a business owner.
Yeah, but you know what? There's two sides to that, right? So there's the touring side and the angler that has to stay on top of it week in and week out to give himself the best chance to win $100,000. And then there's, the guys that I fish with in my club that take it serious. But I mean, for a while to come yet, there's going to be a jig in somebody's hand. Somebody's going to be flipping a D-bomb. There's going to be a chatterbait on somebody's rod. I mean, these techniques, these fish, the lakes, the size of the lakes that we fish. I mean, yeah, sure, technology is a big part of it, but I don't need to chase 100 miles of Lake Champlain trying to figure out, where my roaming school of smallmouth went, or, which green weeds are going to hold fish. You want to go catch one on Lake Minnetonka here in Minnesota, go find your patch of milfoil. It's been there for 20 years. You just got to run your jig through it. It's different. You can make it as big and as complicated as you'd like to, or you can put a jig rod in your hand with some braid on it and get to work.
Luckily for me, you can't hang a minnow in grass where a swim jig can go. So
there you go.
I think with the onset of, forward facing, I think fish are conditioned to that. We're starting to see it on Lake St. Clair now, where You hit them with the beam, and all of a sudden that fish just bolts. And they're really starting to pick it up quick. I look for it to eventually be like, anything else. Remember the rage was Aquaview. Now some of the pros are using it again, but that was all the rage at one time. Everybody had to have the Aquaview, and it kind of just went, don't really need that. I can, I've got, down imagery, and I've got, this and that. I'll just go throw a jig. Basically that's what it's going to turn into. It's going to turn right back into, I'm not filling my limits chasing them with forward facing. So I'm going to have to switch up and go back to fishing boat docks, or, finding other ways.
There you go.
Part of it.
Yeah. It's always changing.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
One
Yeah.
constant.
As far as trends, I still think that they're going to restrict the live scope transducers and the number of inches.
Yeah.
I thought one of them had done that already.
I did not hear that.
I thought one of them said for next year you're only allowed
It
to
might.
have
They may have. It might have been
live scope
Bassmaster, but
transducer on your boat.
Bass Pro Tour hasn't said anything about it yet.
I figure for safety, just, you got to be able to see over the ground.
I'm with you.
That's reasonable.
When you have 4 and 5 sonars at your console, that's a little much.
That's way too much.
And you can't see kayakers out there whenever you're running off your GPS. So please watch out for us.
You're pinging the big radar. You're pinging my big radar.
Yeah, I'm going 5-6 miles an hour, but it's hard to get out of the way of somebody going 75.
Yeah,
I don't blame them. I don't mean to press for time. I don't know, we got to get out of here or whatever. But if I was one of those guys, I'm taking every advantage I can get every week trying to win $100,000.
Yeah.
Sorry. I mean, if you're a race car driver, you want the best equipment, the fastest car with all the best technology you can get to give yourself an advantage of winning. It's no different for those guys.
We sponsored a race car this year.
What pushed me into the whole forward-facing sonar and going overboard on my kayak with it was just to give myself even if it's like a 2% advantage, it was just like whatever I could do to give myself.
Rick Cluns did a seminar at Bass Pro Shops years ago, and he said, he says, I set on the deck what I plan to fish with through the day. He says, I don't even get into my rod locker, because if I do, the minute I have that many, I spin out. And maybe there's something to that. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
I mean, on a kayak, it's two graphs too much.
I don't think 2 graphs are too much, but I think 3 is. I think 3 is.
We did a show one time with people who were pushing the limits of kayak fishing, and me and Kurt, we both have 2, but yeah, some guys are running 3. They're, I mean, you can look at
they run 12, weren't they?
Greg DePalma, he's got, he's turned his Old Town Autopilot into a John boat. He flattened the deck and
giant. And that's more expensive than, I run a 21 Z19 Nitro. That was like the last price book before all the COVID craziness and everything spiked in price.
Right.
De Palma's kayak is probably more expensive than my boat was when I bought it.
No. I will say this though, man. I know, my kayak, we're sitting right around like $11,000 or $12,000 for everything, right? Right around there, not counting the lures and all that stuff, but the fish finders, the batteries, the kayak, the stuff to hold everything. But that's, but I feel like that's probably one of the highest end kayaks out there. Maybe not the highest end, but one of the highest. and I go over and look at the high-end motorboats that are like selling for close to $200,000. Man, it looks like a really good deal. It looks like a really good deal. I mean, I have a motor on it, you know. I mean, the Torquedo's on it.
Yeah.
You know, it looks like a really good deal in comparison. I can't go 80.
Yeah, that's kind of where we're at right now. Like at ICAST, Bonafide and Wilderness Systems came out with, people are coming out with bigger and bigger kayaks that are, you know, they are kayaks, but they're on the extremes of what we ever thought they were. And as tournament organizations allow two motors, a front, a bow, and a stern to go fast, a bow to, you know, like anybody else to, spot lock, everything else. That kind of boat guys and kayaks, they're coming into the middle, and they're just going to meet somewhere in the middle for a third tour, you know.
Sure.
I got to judge the setup, the best setup at the Columbus show, Columbus, Ohio Fishing Expo. And I'm telling you what, with the sound systems and everything else, I'm like, how in the world are these people, you know, moving these boats? Because they're not kayaks anymore, they're boats at this point. How are they moving these dang things around? Because, man, I look at these guys and I'm like, I don't see you being able to flip that thing back over if something happened.
A lot of them you can't. You just have to try to get it to the bank. I mean, you know, we preach that you want to be able to flip your boat over, and you want to be prepared for cold water things and stuff like that. But there's a lot of them are just wouldn't be possible.
I couldn't imagine flipping my PA and then trying to flip it back over in the water. I
did that at the quarry. I did that at the quarry and it didn't work. I tried to flip it back over. I couldn't flip it back over.
Yeah. Especially when I think about like mine. I've got so much stuff strapped to it that it's not just flipping the kayak over. It's all that extra weight of everything else that's on there.
It's just something to hold on to until somebody can drag you back to shore.
Well, fingers crossed that never happens, right?
Right.
My buddy John, and he's been kayaking for years. He flipped his PA over twice on Lake St. Clair. Once, a boater come like 20 feet from him, one of those big giant tuna barges, and I mean, he said, Sean, I literally was in the air off my kayak.
God.
And he uses mega bass fishing rods.
Oh.
And he only broke one, and he got all of his rods back, luckily. But
oh my goodness!
But I mean, he flipped that thing over, and I'm like, dude, are you okay? You know, because he's not a small guy either. And he said, I'm fine, but man, I mean, it was ice cold, and he was out there fishing for spawning smallmouth, and somebody ran through a no wake area, you know, right there by 9 Mile. And just like rolled him right over and didn't even slow down.
Those pleasure boaters are brutal on St. Clair.
Didn't even slow down to make sure he was okay.
Wake boats are the natural enemy of kayakers.
Yeah.
Really, my plan is to jump out. If it's possible, I'm jumping out before I ever try to, you know, go over in my kayak. But that's easier said than done. But
man, that's crazy. Yeah, I'm glad those days are past me.
Yeah. Well, Dad, you got this pimped out 10 rig now.
Oh yeah, it's pimped out. Kurt's got to come up and go fishing with me
next couple weeks,
and then we'll film. We'll take pictures and film.
Big smallies.
All right. Well, we appreciate y'all being on. Please, everybody, go check out Miller Tech Batteries and Untamed Tackle. And you can contact either me or Kurt if you have any questions about them and how we use them, rig up your batteries or anything else. But appreciate y'all being on. Good luck the rest of the year selling Amish batteries and selling jigs. Appreciate y'all. I am going to go find out more about the Amish because now I feel I saw like the Amish show with the rum springer and people going
It's-
crazy.
Oh,
and I
so
was
it's
like,
totally
yeah.
fake. I was asking him this.
It's totally
before the
fake.
show. I was like, "Is that show real?"
It's totally
Oh, yeah.
fake. There's no Amish mafia.
Oh,
I know you dropped the level, didn't it? Right? When I said there's
Yeah.
none, you thought, oh man.
that's
No.
not nearly as cool now.
That's not as
No,
cool anymore.
actually, I'll be honest with you. They're really a bunch of really, really good people. You know?
Hardworking, honest.
Yeah, hardworking, honest. You know, they love the public. They love people. So, you know,
I like their
religious,
furniture.
very religious. So
Before.
Yeah.
I wish I could wear like the same thing every day. Like, you know, very, very sad. That
so
would be cool.
at the Columbus show, and I think it's on our Facebook page or it's somewhere. But I took the owner's hat and I put the owner's hat on my head and stood, you know, like this with the Miller Tech sign behind me. Amish Sean. It was kind of funny. And you know what? The owner was laughing. So
I like it. All right. We appreciate y'all listening and thank y'all for being on, and we'll see y'all again on the next one. Later.
thank you guys.